A lion pleads with a gorilla for help. What happened next? No one could have predicted. Not even science. It all started on what seemed like just another quiet morning. A day so normal, so unassuming, no one even gave it a second glance. The sanctuary lay bathed in golden shafts of sunlight, sunbeams slicing through the dense canopy like glowing blades. The air carried that familiar scent, rich earth mixed with the musk of life and labor. It was a morning like 100 others before it. Or so they thought. Ranger Elias, a man seasoned by countless footsteps through this jungle's winding trails, was out on his usual patrol. But something about today it felt off. Deeply off. The air was thick. Not just humid but tense. No birds. No monkeys. Not even the chirp of an insect dared break the silence. The jungle, usually so alive with sound, had gone still. Too still. Elias froze near the sanctuary's southern boundary, a place where the forest began to thin and the marshlands took over. His gaze darted between the shadows. And that's when he saw it. Movement. Subtle, heavy but smooth. Not threatening, at least not to him. Out stepped a figure, half-shadowed beneath the jungle veil. It was a gorilla. Not just any gorilla, Kazi. A mighty silverback he knew well. Kazi, once a vulnerable orphan brought in scared and alone, now stood tall and massive, the silent protector of this untamed corner of the wild. But today, Kazi wasn't the calm sentinel Elias had grown to trust.
Whoa.
He was pacing, agitated. His powerful body moved in tense, repeated loops like he was caught in a storm only he could feel. And his eyes. Oh, those eyes. Locked right onto Elias, almost pleading, full of urgency. Then came a strange sound. A low grunt, not the usual warning or dominance call, but something broken, desperate. Without hesitation, Kazi turned and vanished into the trees. Elias didn't need a second invitation. He dropped his pack, instincts flaring, and chased after the gorilla. Branches slapped his face as he sprinted. Kazi didn't slow, didn't look back. He moved like wind, like shadow, fast and deliberate. Elias struggled to keep up, heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. Then, just ahead, in a sun-dappled clearing, Kazi stopped. Elias stumbled to a halt beside him, eyes wide. There, lying helpless on the ground, was a lion. But not just any lion. A massive male, his once golden mane now caked with dirt. One powerful paw was twisted unnaturally, blood pooling around it. His leg trapped, caught in a rusted, illegal metal snare half buried in the soil. The pain was undeniable. The lion's breathing was shallow. His eyes weren't wild or aggressive. They were dulled with agony. But here's what shook Elias most. The lion wasn't looking at him. He was looking at Kazi. And Kazi, he didn't retreat. He didn't roar or charge. He approached, slowly, almost reverently. There was no fear in his body, no caution, only a strange sorrow. It was as if Kazi saw more than just a wounded predator. He saw a creature in pain, a fellow soul, broken and bleeding. The lion didn't flinch, didn't snarl. He blinked, slow and heavy, and rested his massive head back down, surrendering. Elias stood rooted to the ground, the reality of the moment crashing down like a wave. Gorillas and lions. They didn't share space. They didn't share anything. But this was something else. Something ancient and quiet, happening right before his eyes. He grabbed his radio. "We've got a lion in a poacher's snare. He's hurt bad. Really bad. Bring the trauma kit. Bring everything." The call set everything in motion. But as the rescue team prepped, packed and rushed in, one thing didn't change. Kazi never moved. He stayed right there. He didn't touch the lion. Didn't try to dominate him. He just sat, close enough to offer presence. And somehow that was enough. Because every time Kazi let out a soft grunt, the lion's breathing steadied. His pain didn't vanish, but it became bearable. Elias had spent years among the wild. He'd seen its ferocity, its cruelty, its wonder. But never this. Never a moment of such raw empathy between two beasts that should have been enemies. Help arrived fast. The sun was now high, baking the jungle floor. Elias delivered the tranquilizer expertly. The lion's body finally relaxed. Vets rushed in with bolt cutters. The snare was vicious, rusty and cruel. It had sliced deep, almost to the bone. Kazi only stepped back when the humans surrounded the lion. But he didn't leave. Not once. And while the vets worked, cutting, cleaning, wrapping, the same question throbbed in Elias's mind like a drumbeat. How did Kazi know? How did he find him? And why did he care? Made no sense. The operation was delicate. One wrong move, and the lion's leg might have been lost forever, or worse. Elias knelt close, sweat dripping from his brow as the bolt cutters clamped around the rusted metal. It creaked, resisted, then finally snapped. The snare released its hold. Blood rushed from the wound, thick and hot. A flurry of motion followed. Antibiotics, gauze, hands moving with practiced urgency. Through it all, Kazi stayed within arm's length. Silent, heavy, steady. His huge hands dug into the earth like roots. And then a soft sound, a grunt. Low. Emotional. The lion stirred. Kazi responded. Elias looked at his team. They were wide-eyed, stunned. This wasn't just survival. This was connection. By the time the lion was loaded into the truck, Kazi rose and followed. He moved through the trees like a silent guardian, tracking the vehicle's path, never falling too far behind. He watched as they pulled into the ranger station. And when Elias stepped outside later that evening, there Kazi was, waiting just beyond the fence, staring into the lion's recovery pen like a sentinel carved from stone. The story spread like wildfire. Drones had caught the footage. Kazi's approach, his refusal to leave. Scientists called. Reporters emailed. But Elias, he didn't answer. Not yet. This wasn't a headline. This was a moment still unfolding, raw and sacred. Days passed. The lion survived. Not fully healed but stable. He didn't lash out. Didn't roar. Every time pain hit, his gaze drifted to one place. Kazi's spot, just outside the enclosure. Kazi never missed a day. He'd arrive before dawn, settle into the dirt and watch. All day. No food. No play. Just presence. On the 5th day, it happened. The lion stood. Unsteady. Shaking. But he stood. Gasps rippled through the station. Elias' hand hovered near the tranquilizer, just in case. But the lion didn't growl. Didn't threaten. He limped to the fence, leaned into it, and lay his head down. Right across from Kazi. And then Kazi reached out. One massive hand against the mesh, fingers splayed, just inches from the lion's face. The lion. He closed his eyes. No fear. No instinct. Just peace. Elias dropped to his knees. The vet beside him said nothing. Words were useless. They were witnessing something older than language. This wasn't chance. It was memory. Recognition. A bond that defied nature. And then Elias found the truth. Later that night, haunted by the image of that collar around the lion's neck, Elias dug into the sanctuary's old records. There was a file from a year ago. A report. A lion relocated due to drought. One that had broken off from his group. Vanished into the jungle. And that lion had once been housed in the same temporary enclosure as an orphaned gorilla named Kazi. They had met before. The silverback vaulted the outer railing in a single explosive leap, faster than anyone had seen him move. The poacher stumbled back, too slow. The one with the rifle tried to lift it again, but Kazi was already there, a mountain of fury and instinct crashing into them like a freight train. The rifle clattered to the ground. The second man raised his machete, but it was ripped from his hand with a swipe so fast it barely registered. Elias shouted into the comms. 2 intruders, Kazi's engaged. Do not fire on the gorilla. The rangers converged from every path, boots pounding the earth, tranquilizers and tasers raised. But they held back, stunned by what they saw. Kazi didn't kill. He didn't maul. He cornered them, standing like a sentinel between them and the lion's enclosure. His body heaving with adrenaline, fists clenched, eyes burning with a warning that needed no translation. The poachers, bloodied but breathing, dropped to their knees, hands raised. One was crying. Within seconds, rangers were on them, weapons retrieved, wrists zip-tied, dragged away through the trees under armed guard. Elias reached Kazi's side, heart hammering. The silverback was shaking, not with fear but restraint. Behind the fence, the lion had pressed himself to the bars again, watching everything with fierce, focused eyes. There was blood from his reopened wound. But he was alive. Because Kazi had chosen to protect not just his home, but him. That night, the sanctuary didn't sleep. Security was doubled. The story spread like wildfire, no longer just whispered among researchers, but captured on cameras, echoed in headlines, debated in forums, and sent across the globe. People demanded to know how, why. Elias still didn't have answers. Only one truth, written plainly in his field notes. This isn't a case study. It's a reminder that loyalty isn't a human trait, that some bonds are older than fear, that sometimes a lion doesn't survive because we saved him. He survives because something wild remembered him, and chose to stand between him and death. And in the weeks that followed, as the lion slowly healed, as Kazi continued to sit each morning by his side, Elias began to believe something deeper. The past never really leaves us. Just waits.